biggest thing for me that made it so amazing was the reaction of the kids. So the kids are in the audience, they got your signs made up. This is bearing in mind they've never met you before, they've just saw an image of Giant and they've made your banner.
Yeah.
To look around the arena and see that and hear them shout your name, it's phenomenal.
That is cool.
Surreal.
Welcome everybody to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 2 from day 1 of the 2024 Arnold Expo. Ron Partlow, Dusty Hanshaw, and the producer Scott McNally on board. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Very good.
Today, we got special guest all the way from the other side of the booth. He's not even Jamie the Giant anymore. He's just the Giant.
The Giants.
Formerly known as
Jamie the Giant. What's going on, my friend?
I think good. It's been a while, hasn't it, since I've been on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
guess
we thought fame got to you.
We contacted your
agent.
people.
Publicist.
Yeah, and they put us on a list.
You got to go with my agent, and then the agent's agent.
Yeah, exactly.
The broadcast company.
Yeah.
And they said, "Don't call us. We'll
call you." Yeah. Remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Get your ISO Surge. Get your all in. And everyone should get on the gear.
Lots of gear.
And I got to announce, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it because I don't know what I'm talking about, but we were launching a new product today at the Arnold.
Oh,
we're
yes.
launching the Mind Freak.
Yes.
And that's how I'm saying it. Some people might say Mind Freak. I'm saying Mind Freak.
Is it like
there's no
FK?
R, so how would there be a freak?
Mind.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd think they'd leave the other R. They'd leave another consonant
If
in
you
there.
wanted it to be
That's what I say.
Mind Freak.
Yeah. And it's our nootropic formula,
Yes.
pre-workout nootropic formula. So I'm very excited about that. So that's the news here at the Arnold Expo. We're launching the Mind Freak, and Scott's gonna be busy editing this one.
Oh yeah.
And
you guys don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's called. It's his new product, and we got Jamie the Giant. So let's get to that. Jamie the Giant.
Well, just on that note about the product name as well.
Yes.
So, I've been on the podcast a few times before. I have a bit of a potty mouth, like you, Ron.
Yes, as many of the Brits do.
However, because I now am on a family-orientated show,
Yes.
I have to rein that in. So
Rein it in.
You may not find me using any F-bombs today, which Scott would love.
That's okay. I appreciate that. I'm totally good with that.
Less editing.
Yeah.
That's what happens. The publicist comes in. They give you the Tom Cruise speech. They give you the Ryan Reynolds. Everyone's got to love you. They break it down for you. Hey.
Well, it's funny, when we was auditioning and going through the process before filming, I obviously do my stories, my morning walks, and one of the editors messaged me, is like, Jamie, right, I'm just going to give you a bit of a word of advice, and take it how you will, but imagine your audience when you're doing your videos, you're speaking to an 8-year-old child.
Oh.
My answer would have been, is it my child?
Okay.
Then it's fine.
Yeah. My kid needs to learn the tough words. There's a hard life out there. Okay, of course, for those of you that don't watch the British Broadcasting Company, is
Weird.
it company or corporation? What do they call it?
Yeah,
BBC?
the BBC are I would say the biggest broadcasting company in the UK.
It's British Broadcasting Company or corporate. I can't remember how the word goes.
Now
Who
you put
knows?
me on the spot.
British Broadcasting. That's all we got to
There you
say.
go.
Yeah, the top dogs in England, and so Jamie's on the Gladiator show, and it's going really well.
Yeah, it's going amazing. I mean, we filmed the show in June, so it started airing on the BBC on the 30th of January. It's going to run for 11 weeks. I think there's 4 weeks left.
Yeah.
And the ratings are smashing at the minute, so
Nice.
yeah, it's all good.
It's been a big year for you. So you got the gig,
Yep.
and you couldn't really tell us anything about it, and then you went and filmed the whole season.
Yeah.
Over the course of 2 months in the summer.
Yep.
And you had to downsize for that, and you had to work on your athletics.
Yes.
And you had to get your feet back.
Yeah, there's
and all
there's
that
a lot.
stuff.
As an aging man as well.
Yeah.
So, you quickly realise you're not as young as you used to be.
And things don't come back quite as quick.
Yeah, I mean, I did one thing. At the same time, I'm trying to double up on being more involved as a father. So
Yes.
do more things with the kids, because we all know bodybuilding takes you away in your own zone for a lot of that time.
Oh yeah.
So things like football and just spending more time with the kids were commonplace. I remember one day when I was trying to get fitter and doing all these functional things for training to be a gladiator, I said I raced my son to the halfway line on the football pitch.
Right.
And I was like, we was neck and neck. Bear in mind, he's 14, so that just shows how slow I am. But we turn at the halfway line, and my groin just goes, oh. I was like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this crap. There's limits.
Man. Yeah. I was going to ask how long it took you to get your first athletic re-injury.
Yeah.
Because every guy that leaves bodybuilding and goes to like jiu-jitsu or, hey, like 4 months into riding my BMX, I tore my hamstring.
Yeah.
I had to learn quick. I was like, oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So I was wondering how long it would take you to get hurt, bouncing around and changing direction and all that.
It was less than a month.
Less than a month, yeah. But hey, you get better for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you did all that and you couldn't talk about it because you don't want to ruin the season. Like
Yeah,
you can't
it's-
say anything, right?
It was difficult.
Yeah.
Because there's a massive thing that's happened in my life. I can't say anything about it. And then, as a sponsored athlete as well, I'm no longer a bodybuilder. So I imagine Jim's like pulling his hair out, saying, we're paying Jamie all this money and not
he's
really
on this
doing
big
anything."
show
Yeah.
and he can't even talk about it, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's and we were all kind of like excited and waiting, like, when's this show gonna come out?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Jamie in this this outfit. They got him in a 3/4 leotard.
He's rocking a singlet.
Yeah.
You know what they should have done? They should have let your character wear an old NPC.
Yeah.
This is during the old NPC Flex Wheeler
Yeah.
one. They should just let the one Gladiator wear the
Yeah.
old crazy wear. You know what I mean?
The thing is, I was one of the gladiators that was lucky enough to wear more clothes in his newfound career path.
Right. Yeah. They're all feeling naked. You felt fully clothed.
You had no problem with like socks and shoes and
Yeah, exactly.
you had the old physique shorts. It was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plenty of coverage, almost too much.
So we got to ask a few questions, obviously. So, what was it like when you first showed up and you met all the other gladiators? Was everyone like sizing each other up, and you realized, like, I assume they went for like they wanted a whole bunch of different people, right?
Yeah. So back in the day when Gladiators was on the BBC, and I know it was in America and other countries, I think predominantly back then in like the early 90s, they were bodybuilders.
Yeah,
Well,
you had
that
to
was-
look crazy. It was
yeah.
all about the look. Yeah.
But with the advancements of most like sports now, we've got CrossFit, we've got Olympic sprinters, bobsleigh team. There's such an array of athletes within the Gladiator squad that there was a bit of sizing up, I guess, but there's more an appreciation of someone's ability.
Yeah.
Like we got a guy called Harry Akins, GB sprinter. His name's Nitro in the show, and I put a comment on his Instagram the other day because I watched him sprint. He did a reel sprinting, and I said, I could watch you run all day. My missus goes, that's a bit of a weird comment. I was like, you don't really get it. Like it's a spectacle.
Yeah. I know exactly. It's like watching a gazelle.
Yeah.
You're just
Right.
like, I could never move like that.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? The head is perfectly level.
Yeah,
And just flying down the track.
It's a work of art.
Yeah, a work of art.
Mm.
Yeah. That's what did they think of you? I mean, you're the biggest guy, right? You're the
Yeah.
tallest, you're the biggest.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, like now one of the oldest as well. So kind of take on that father role.
Right.
So I think as big guys we get the respect of people anyway.
Right.
But I've got the age factor as well. So it's like, now children, listen in. I'm going to tell you a few stories.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
So that's good.
Back when TV was black and white.
Yeah. Back when we had 4 channels and
Yeah.
then Channel 5 got added.
What were some of the things they said to you? Like you said, you respected, you like watching that sprinter move, and you're like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
You know, what were some of the things like after you started doing your stuff, where people like, man, you're just like, you're so hard to move, or like, what were the comments they were getting? I mean,
Yeah, I think it was quite clear we was all there for a certain like role and reason.
right.
And my reason was to be the big guy. And there's a game called The Duel where you have a big stick.
Yes.
And you got to knock the other guy off the platform.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best
So-
one. That's the one that used to be the #1 favorite on
Yeah.
American Gladiators.
Was it really?
The jousting one, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So there was a UK Gladiator called Shadow back in the day, and he was known as the king of the duel. So I was like, I want that title.
Right.
And no spoilers, but as it's airing in the UK now, I think I'm 4-0, and I've got 3 more bouts left to
Right.
cook.
So
Okay.
does he go 7-0?
Yeah, so
That's
we'll
the
see,
question.
we'll
We'll
see.
see. Okay.
But yeah, that was quite clear, and then it kind of, I think to me, it took a bit of pressure off me because I'm thinking, right, I got to climb a wall, I got to swing on these rings, I got to be able to sprint and all this and that. And obviously, very short period of time to transition from being a bodybuilder and working in one plane, up and down, forwards and backwards. So that took a bit of pressure off, because I had the support of the team, who were all there for an individual specific reason. We've all got our strengths, so it's not like I've got to try and be the all-rounder.
Right.
I'm the big guy.
They're not really asking anybody to do that.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
But moving forward, season 2's not been commissioned yet, but I'm very, very positive it will be. I want to do a few more events for next season, so I'm already working on my
upper body strength and the pull-ups and the ability to even hang from one arm.
Right.
Yeah. It sounds really simple, but it's not for us kind of guys, is it?
Yeah.
And then swing with one arm.
Yeah, because like if people don't understand the physics, 170 pounds is different than 270 pounds.
Yeah.
But then also when you're swinging, there's that G-force on your grip and all that stuff, and you become 500 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, how many bodybuilders have been to, I don't know whether they do it in the US or Canada, but they've got the show The Ninja Warrior in the UK.
Yeah.
And then in the UK, they've also got these centres set up to replicate the Ninja Warrior, where you can go out and try it yourself.
Right.
I know many a bodybuilder that thought, oh, great idea for a YouTube video, and then come back with a torn bicep.
Right.
Absolutely. That's the number one thing that happens when people do those hangs. Yeah.
Bad times.
Yeah. What about the contestants that you're going up against? Is there any time spent with them, or are they just cold? You have no idea who this. They just knock this guy off a platform.
So we actually filmed it in an ice hockey arena.
Yes.
So you imagine a tunnel that surrounds the inner ring, as it were.
Yeah.
So you meet each other in the tunnel before the match. And you kind of give them the eye. As the show goes on, we see the contenders multiple times if they get through to the next rounds.
Yeah.
So there's a few niceties, but they know what's coming.
Right.
So it's always fun, and I don't think the contenders know beforehand who they're going up against. So the first time they'll find out is when we're in the tunnel.
Right.
So someone's on Jewel, and they walk out, and Giant's in the tunnel. We're like, oh God,
Yeah.
what the hell?
I got to go against the big guy.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Who's the smallest gladiator?
There's a chap called Viper. I think he's the shortest. But in terms of shortest, I'm saying 5'10".
Right.
Yeah, he's still a big guy.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
in
gladiators.
terms of,
You're all gladiators.
Yeah, still a gladiator.
Yeah.
He's actually a really, really cool guy and a great character. So on the show in the UK back in the day, there was a character called the Wolf. The Wolf was like the bad guy, the heel.
Right.
And he's one of two of our current gladiators that play like a baddie.
Right.
So the kids love that.
So they cheer for the regular Joe over him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's not favoured by the audience.
Yeah. So now, how did the selection go? How did the process go? I see they've been sending you out to Breakfast TV and the talk show circuit in England and doing all the London TV stuff. How did you get selected? You're just visually very impressive.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the reasons they opted to send you to all this stuff.
Yeah.
But you've also become one of the more popular gladiators.
Yeah, I think that's down to obviously the stature, for sure. Got a good set of legs in the Lycra. Helps.
Yeah.
Obviously.
People love the wheels.
Got a bit of fake tan on the show. We look nice and brown, the white teeth.
Yeah.
It all goes in.
There you go.
But I think ultimately, and I do have bodybuilding and the current climate of social media and YouTube and things to thank for this as well, is that you have to be good on camera. You have to be good at speaking to people and portraying a character. Now, luckily, I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
That's very
Easy to
easy for me
portray.
to do.
You are a character.
Yeah, so I have a laugh and a joke, I smile, I win, and I'm gracious with it at the same time. So I guess it's easy to be liked.
Right.
Yeah. So how do they heal it up? Do they stomp on guys after they beat them and act unsportsmanlike? How do they heal it up? They give the crowd the finger. How does that work?
There's a bit of argy-bargy, a bit of pushing and whatever else. I know
We just said a word, I don't know what it was, but I think it was English slang.
I felt good about it.
So argy-bargy is a bit of pushing and shoving.
A bit of argy-bargy.
Going to use that moving forward.
There you go.
Okay.
And they had the foam on the microphones, like the wrestling microphones.
Yeah.
And I remember Viper once he bit the foam off the microphone and spat it out.
So it's a little bit of a taste.
I saw one of them on Instagram. They showed a clip, and they had the one. You remember back in the day, Ron, where they had to get the ball into like the cylinder? And
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
football. They'd have to dunk the
But
little ball.
but one of the gladiators picked the guy up and then threw them back in their ball bin.
Yes.
Was that one of those guys? Because that was funny.
Well, that was Apollo. He's a really nice guy, to be fair, and he's an ex-NFL player, so you can imagine a rugby-based tackling game. Savage, absolute savage. Yeah,
He literally picked the guy up and then threw him back where the balls go.
Yeah.
6'6", like 270 pounds, athlete, going against someone who's like probably 5'6", 200 pounds. That's dangerous.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
he actually did it gingerly. You could tell how easy it was
Yeah.
to place this guy in the ball bin,
Oh,
but
man.
it was funny.
it is fun. And I think his interview afterwards, like, just taking out the trash.
Yeah, that's what he said. It was great.
Good stuff.
So what about the? Is there any coaching with your microphone time, or do they just kind of like wrestling style, where they're like, let's see what this guy's got?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they obviously all did their research and chose us for reasons, and I guess one of the reasons were that we were good at that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we didn't need much coaching, but it's one of those things where it's got to come across natural on the TV, because
Right.
anything that comes across natural is it's just better, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a lot of the things were just off the cuff, and the good thing is the presenter that presents the show, him and his son, Bradley Walsh, is the main guy. His son Barney does it obviously as like a number 2. They both work great together. Hello, Jim.
There's Jim,
Big man.
man.
So Bradley Walsh has been in TV in the UK for years. Must be 30, 40 years. I don't want to be nasty to him, but he's an older guy. He's a very experienced guy, so he can just like create a conversation and lead you into certain things. So if it wasn't for him, I guess it might have been a bit clunky.
Right.
So that made it
right.
easy.
He's actually running it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even know that he's guiding the whole character to get there. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I remember hearing the Rock's story about the first time they gave him the microphone.
Yeah.
You know, he was like a kind of a lower level guy, and he's like, "Give me the mic tonight. Give me the mic tonight, Vince."
Yeah.
And it was like a big moment where they were like, "Oh, okay, he can do this.
They just lit it up.
He can go out and just take over." So yeah, I'm excited to see the show, man. I haven't seen. Obviously, we don't get the show, but I want to find out how I can watch the show. Like, you know,
Well-
I'm sure it'll pop up somewhere where we can stream it.
Yeah.
Like once the season's done, it might wind up on.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I don't know, right?
Maybe. I don't know whether this is like legal or not. So I'm saying it from a position where I think it's legal.
Right.
Wait, if there's going to be a lot of editing involved in this epic show.
I'm on about
Stop.
So what you do is you film the show and then you
Yeah.
post it to
I was going to say what some people do in other countries is they get a VPN app,
Oh, yeah.
so they're classed as being in Britain.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess that might be wrong, because then you wouldn't pay a TV license, and the BBC,
Yeah,
you
we
need to
don't
pay
know.
your TV license.
Yeah.
But
That said, use NordVPN code THINK.
so anyway, what I was saying is I'll leave it up to you to find out how you do this.
Right.
Yes.
It's on the BBC
All I'm
iPlayer.
going to say is there's a way to get pretty much anything done. Yeah. Understood. What would be like, did you have any bad episodes? Like, did you get hurt on the show at all and have to kind of get through it or anything like that? It all went smooth?
I was pretty good. It went smooth. The only what I would class as a bad episode is if I wasn't in it as much as I would have liked to have been. Because
Right.
there's 8 guys, 8 girls. There's only 5 events each show, so they got to share it out.
Right.
So there's some weeks where I'm in one thing and I'm like, oh man.
So
But it's,
now with that, let me ask you that I watched a documentary recently about the American Gladiators.
Yep.
And it was a great documentary.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it, it's on, I think, Netflix.
I'm
Right.
going to watch it for
Oh,
sure.
It was so good.
I've
and
listed it. Yeah.
They've got like cool animations and stuff. But it really took me back to when the show came out. They worked those guys hard, like,
Oh, yeah.
and then they went on tour.
Yeah.
So they were like night after night after night.
Yeah.
How was this spread out?
So we basically filmed it over 11 days. So we did a show a day, 5 heats, 3 quarters, 2 semis, 1 final. I think my maths is right. So on day 6 we had a break.
Right.
So we did 10 days filming in 11 days.
Okay.
The semi-final, we filmed in 1 day. We just did like an afternoon and an evening thing. But generally speaking, we just did one a day. So it's quite cool.
Yeah.
There's long days, but I might have one event in the morning and then one event in the afternoon.
I got to follow up then.
Yeah.
So, how does that work with like catering and stuff? Because I've never been on a TV show, so do you have a trailer first of all? Is there a trailer?
Is there a star on the door that
Is there
says
a-
giant?
Oh no! I was
there
thinking,
anything like
what's
that?
a trailer? Like you mean an advert?
Yeah, like a trailer where you get to hang out in, and then are
So-
they bringing you like food and like the foods you guys want? How does that all
So
work?
we have a room. They call it the green room.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
So we have the green room where we hang out, and they got a lot of snacks.
Ah.
But from a bodybuilding background, when you walk in the green room and you see just sweets and crisps, or
Yeah.
potato chips, whatever you want to call them, that's the kind of level of nutrition you're getting. So it was down to myself.
You're getting government nutrition.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, this is a government-owned. Yeah.
Saying that, I think they fed us twice a day. You'd get a dinner and an evening meal,
Yeah.
and then you're responsible for your own breakfast. And that catering within the arena was very good. And that was like chicken, salmon, rice, potatoes, good stuff. But obviously, as a former bodybuilder eating 6-7 meals a day, that wasn't enough. So I'd take chicken bagels to the arena and I'd be yamming them 2-3 times a day as well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Did the other gladiators think you ate a lot?
Yeah. I mean, my breakfast was, it's like a salad bowl full of oats,
Right.
almond butter, banana, bit of everything. There's like, what the hell is that?
Now, were you guys all like sequestered in a hotel, or were you going home every night? Like,
No,
was
no.
it all like you had to keep you?
Yeah, they kept us all in Sheffield, but they did keep the guys in a set of digs, and then the women were over the other side of Sheffield in another area. So I think they probably did that based on the Muscle Mayhem American Gladiators.
Yeah, they
thing.
needed
It's
to
like-
keep the men and the women separate.
Learned that lesson.
Yeah, they learned that lesson in the 90s.
Well, no, that was fun because that's when you get to know each other better.
Right.
You're going out for food with the guys at night time after the show, speaking about things, going to train with them.
Yeah.
The camaraderie is important because then that comes across on camera as well.
Right. Yeah.
Man. What about the lead up? Like, when did they call you? First of all, how was the tryout? Did you send video, or did you have to like go jump around and lift? How did it work?
Yeah. So basically, we went to an athletics arena in England, in London, and I think on the day there was 40 people there, and I think they had.
Now, had that already been whittled down from video or anything, or was it just?
Yeah. So the first stage was an application video. It's like a 1 minute. This is who I am. This is what I do. I want to be a gladiator.
I want to see your video.
I was just thinking that.
We need your video.
I'll have it somewhere. Yeah, for sure.
Can you send it to us?
Yeah, definitely.
Can I
Yeah.
put it on this video?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
you shot it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Stay tuned at the end, guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
So that was stage one. Stage two, with that was an application form. So this is quite funny as well. Fill out an application form, personal details, history.
Oh my
Gotta
goodness.
bring a friend over.
It's a lovely dog.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
Who's this?
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful dog.
Amazing.
That. Coming in on the show.
Yeah. I need a massage.
Sorry, guys. I had to move the camera there for that. It was important.
Dogs take precedent.
Totally.
Dogs take precedent. Okay.
So I don't know if he still does it, and you wouldn't have seen him on camera, but that was Hunter Labrada's masseuse.
Oh,
no
okay,
kidding.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we need him to come back after the podcast and give us all a massage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you bet.
Sure. So yeah, I'll keep this short because it could be a long story. But I filled out an application form full of my personal details and everything as well. One of the questions was, have you got any holidays booked this year? So I was like, yes, May, whatever, for a week, Croatia with the family. That was the week of filming,
Oh.
or one of the 3 weeks of filming. So I was like, waiting, there's 2 months gone by, 3 months gone by. I was like, I've got to have heard something back now. So some divine intervention, I had an email address of one of the production cast. Emailed him, James, I've sent this application form in. Like, I think I'm perfect to be a gladiator. Like,
Yeah,
come
of
on.
course.
What's happening? Give me some feedback. And because I'd marked down I'd got a holiday, they just red marked it. bin straight away.
Oh.
So I was in the bin. So that got me out of the bin.
Oh my God!
Thank God. And then the last part was a physical audition. So that you went to a physical audition. I think people who got down to the physical tryouts, I don't know the exact number, but they're in the hundreds. And you go on individual days. I went and there's 40 people. You get split in 2 groups. There's rope climbing, sled pushing, broad jump, pull-ups, burpees, all functional stuff. So I'm like still at this point 295 pounds. But they knew that obviously I'm not going to be able to hold my body weight because it's a dead hang as well. Like some people dead hanging for 2 minutes and getting off because nobody else is there and they're like bored.
Right. They're just done. They just
And after 30 seconds I'm shaking like. So I think the way I understand it is there was a scoring system and you had to get so many seconds, so many pull-ups, so much distance, and you went in you got 1 or 2 or 3 points based on how good you did. They tallied all those up and then they had a big board, so it's like the best of the best. And then they marked you physically against like how good you were on camera because there's a bit of a camera thing, what you look like, and I'm sure they had in their head what kind of characters they wanted people to portray. So it's an in-depth process and something that you're up against some real hot talent.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? Like, was there a moment where you think you definitely got it? Like, do you remember doing something and you looked at them and you're like, oh, it doesn't matter now, I'm in?
I don't know. I mean, there was points where I thought I've got to be in. I've got to be. But every conversation you have with these guys, because they are right. Before, but the biggest thing for me that made it so amazing was the reaction of the kids. So the kids are in the audience, they got your signs made up. This is bearing in mind they've never met you before, they've just saw an image of Giant and they've made your banner. So look around the arena and see that and hear them shout your name, it's phenomenal.
That is cool.
Surreal.
Yeah, because I guess episode 1 they would have had no usable footage for you.
No, nothing.
They can't really promote you other than just an image of you standing like that.
And that goes to show as well the power of a physique to children, how influential it is. And that's why superheroes and action men, that's why they are who they are and in society. It's
and that's reaching such a more mainstream group than like bodybuilding, right? Like I remember, like you mentioned Lee Haney earlier today. And I remember like Lee Haney inspired me, but Lee Haney didn't inspire most of the kids in my junior high. You know what I mean? But like the American Gladiators, those guys inspired everybody. You know?
I remember when I went to Gold's Venice for the first time in '96. And I saw Billy the Blonde Bomber Smith. And he was a gladiator.
No way.
And I just remember seeing Billy Smith in the gym because he used to train with Jim Quinn. And they were in there just going animal, like his old days. And I remember this famous photo shoot of Billy Smith leg pressing with Jim Quinn sitting on the leg press. And I remember just thinking like, oh, that's a real life gladiator. Like, holy, that guy's one of the American gladiators. Like he's a machine. And I was already like 20 years old, and I was super impressed. Like, I saw Billy Smith. You know? So I imagine a little 8-year-old or 10-year-old just, you know.
Pretty nuts.
We forget those days.
Absolutely.
We get old enough that we forget how excited we were to
No kidding.
oh man, that guy's on TV.
Talk about like passing it on to the next generation.
You know? For sure. Because if you can motivate the kids to get into fitness, you know, just to eat properly, get the meals in, it's got to be a good thing.
What about so episode 1 airs? What day would that have been? January
Yeah, that was the 13th, so it would be Saturday night.
Okay, so Saturday night, episode 1 airs. And what do you do on episode 1? What's your first thing that they see of you?
I think the first thing they saw of me was Jewel.
It was Jewel.
Well, actually, so the trailer, not the park trailer, but the trailer that comes on at the start of the show, like the head of the show, is a sequence of every single Gladiator.
Right.
And I am the first to appear on the screen. So when everyone sees Gladiators on a Saturday night,
you're the first guy. You're the first guy.
Yeah, so that was quite cool.
Absolutely.
And then I think the first event was Jewel, so yeah, I think the guy lasted 1.3 seconds, to be precise.
So then what happens, like, how many people viewed it? Did they tell you? Like, BBC would know. They got millions of views.
Yeah, so I think the expectation or the hope was that we would get anywhere around 4 million. Because, just to give you some context, the show, I think, peaked at an average audience of 17 million back in the day.
Right.
Okay.
But that's when the UK had 4 channels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when it went off air, I think it was getting around 9 million.
Right.
But now we've got thousands of options, right?
Yep.
Even if it's not on TV, we've got YouTube.
Yeah.
So the expectation was 4 million. Anything above there, happy days. First week got 8 million.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
that's when there's like, okay, this is a hit.
That's awesome.
And then it,
Were you relieved when you heard that? Were you worried at all?
yeah, I don't know whether it's worried. It's just like
You just don't know if TV is going to work these days.
Yeah, you don't know. You just don't know.
Right.
It's on TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they say, well, you can't get too excited yet because we got to retain the audience.
Right.
And the retention, I think we hit 8 million again. And I'm not sure the average viewing figures now because you've got the live viewings and then the playbacks, but we're still hitting, I'm sure, around like 6-7 million. So it's like blown everyone's kind of expectations away. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, sister.
I had you.
My brain's like just like we need to speed that up.
So okay, you go to the grocery store 5 days after it airs.
Oh yeah, great question.
Like, when
Pretty
does
much.
that start? What happens? What's the first thing that happens that's not bodybuilding? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a bodybuilding thing. It's like, you're the gladiator I just saw.
And that's when you realise how big it is. Because I've said before, I was widely known as a bodybuilder. But I could go to my local store and I might get one person say hello to me in a week or a month. Well, now it'd be like someone saw me walk in off the show and you can see them talking at the checkouts. And then this was quite a funny one. So I was in Tesco's, my local superstore, getting my groceries, and I saw this woman. She must be mid-40s, clock me from the checkouts. She's with her son. Her son's 15 years old. So she's come running over. Can I have a photo? And I'm like, yeah, cool. I said, do you want your son to get? She goes, no, don't worry about him.
That's amazing.
So
He's into video games.
yeah.
He's not mine.
He doesn't watch TV.
Yeah, I don't care. Just leave him.
That's amazing. What son?
Yeah. And I've been asked for a lot of school visits. Kids
cool.
love you. Will you come and appear at the school? I'm thinking, I don't know whether it's for the kids or the teachers. Probably a bit of both.
The kids love you. Yeah. So how is it now? Like is it every time you go out? What if you go for dinner with the missus?
Well, this is a funny story as well. So if I go out on my own, or I was with my son, women don't mind coming over, and men as well. You know, I'm very popular with the males. If it's not from my rainbow community,
Right.
it's from dads like saying, "Oh, can I have a selfie for my son?" Which is cool. But when I go out with the missus, like I get bombarded when I'm not with her. When I go out with her, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether they just show a sign of respect, like he's with his missus, we'll leave him alone.
Right. She probably doesn't want any of this crap.
Or whether she just got this face that says, "Don't come near me."
Yeah. Don't come near my man.
Probably
That's
a
what
bit
the
of
says.
Probably a bit. It's like, evolution has taught us to respect the missus.
I get bothered far less, so I call her my personal security detail.
Right.
Yeah.
What does she think of it? She watch the show with you, or does she kind of go, you look all right, and leave the room?
No. We watch it as a family, and that's the best thing about it. Like, for the past, I would say 6-7 years, we've not really sat down as a family.
Right.
And I remember when I was a kid, you'd sit down on a Saturday night as a family and you'd watch. In the UK, it was like Gladiators, Blind Date, Family Fortunes. There'd be a list of shows you'd watch together. Top of the Pops.
Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that show in my life.
You need to look it up, because Top of the Pops Greatest Hits I think they do an annual every year.
Right.
Okay.
In the UK. So not that everyone buys CDs anymore, but they do. So yeah, this is the first time in years that we're sat as a family on a Saturday night on the sofa, ready to watch something together.
Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing. And that's the same, obviously, for a lot of households in the UK now. So that's really why it's blown up.
Right.
You're bringing families together, Jamie.
There you go.
Who would have thought? Now, here's a question for you. Have people mentioned or brought it up transitioning because of what you're doing with the athleticism?
Yep.
Have they said, hey, you should give Vince a call, or whoever's running WWE now? I guess Vince is out. But you ever thought of, like, what's the pro wrestling ever
not
reach
a
out
bad
to you or
idea.
anyone from the pro wrestling community?
I mean, we all know Ed Connors.
Yeah, of course.
Ed Connors spoke to me way back in like 2012.
I remember talking to Ed Connors about you,
Yeah.
like when you first joined Mutant.
Yeah. So that was on the cards way back when. And I just think that is a hard life.
Yeah.
And that's even harder at 38. Maybe 10 years ago, but not now.
Right.
Now, what about, I guess you don't have Hollywood in England. What do you have? Yeah.
Well,
London?
we have the BBC.
You have the BBC? I'm just wondering that from here, like, you know, has anyone said anything to you? Like, you know what, you're pretty good on a microphone. Like, you might be able to do something else with this sort of front of the camera stuff.
I think that's where it's going. You know, the physicality of Gladiators and other things like that. I hope I can do that for another 5 years.
Right.
But even in 5 years' time, there's not going to be another 5 years after that.
Right.
I don't envisage.
Yeah.
So you got to be looking towards the next things, and there's whispers of like panto, which is do you know panto? Like what? So pantomime is something that they do in the UK at Christmas. It's like a theatre show.
Right.
So I don't know how to describe it. It's just something that the family would go and watch. You know, like in when you're at school or high school, you do school plays.
Yeah.
It's like that, but an adult version.
Right.
For the family. So that's really a form of acting experience. So I think from now filming the show, I would like to get as much acting experience as possible from that kind of stuff and other things.
It's like theater. It's a theater, bit of a theater background. Yeah.
And then, you know, along this journey, just make connections, network, meet people. You don't know what doors are going to open. So I just want to be physically and verbally ready.
Verbally.
Yeah, this is good.
I've asked like 20 in a row. I didn't know if I was talking
I've been
too
sitting
much.
back, so Ron does this thing where he just like gets into the groove.
And
then it's like,
I worry.
I'm watching a show right now. I'm literally just watching a show. This is great.
I feel like, okay, I've done 20 now.
I've got like a front row seat at the Arnold, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really good one.
Because all this stuff about the Gladiators, it just leads to the next question. The answer to that question, well, now I have to ask this question. And it just leads and leads and leads. Like there's, you know, it must have been just such an intense. I know it took months for it to happen. You know, you're in the bin, right? But for it to all just come together must seem like, you know, I mean, you know, if someone told you a year and a half ago, if we said you'd be on, you know,
madness.
UK Gladiators, you'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember 2022 was the last year competing, and I remember the wife saying at the time I was 36, and in my head, I always had that round number 40. To compete up to them, and then I think I'd be done. And I think it was after the second show, so that would have been like the Arnold Classic or the France show, one of the two. She was like, "This is going to be your last year competing," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I don't know why, but every time I say that story, I like a twinge of emotion. So it means a lot, because I don't know whether something just made that happen for a reason. I don't know, it's weird, but I get that feeling when I say it.
The power of suggestion opened your mind.
It did, because then I thought, you know what, and a conversation I had with Jay Cutler in Body Power, sorry, not Body Power, at the Arnold's that year. So breakfast, I think the day before the show, saw Jay Cutler at breakfast. We had a bit of a conversation. He says, "How much do you weigh?" I was like, 300 pounds, obviously, the day before the show. And he's like, "Right." He says, "I think you need to be 30 pounds heavier on stage." He says, "Where does that leave you, or where do you finish up? I was like, dead.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was a realization that although I was probably inspirational to a lot of tall bodybuilders for being able to have a balanced, big physique and do pretty well in the pro lineups at, you know, I would say a low tier show. I just know I had so much more that I needed to put in at that point.
Right.
That even if I committed everything I got up until 40, I might get to Olympia, but I'd be placing at the back.
Right.
Yeah, the ROI.
It would look different.
Yeah,
it would look different.
And what would those 3 years take out of me? What would it cost me?
Right.
Yeah.
So it did open my mind. I started thinking about these things. I was like, do you know what? This might be the last year. And then I competed in October, and then they released the announcement that, hey, we're bringing back Gladiators. I was like, whoa. Things happen for a reason, right?
Right.
Have you told Jay that story?
No, I haven't. No.
You should.
Jay has to hear that story. He would love that.
Yeah, he really would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the second guest in a row that brought Jay up like that.
Oh, really?
Andrea said something about Jay giving her advice and how it like changed her career.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
the way I see it too is that this is such a positive thing.
Right.
We got
Sorry?
some,
We got interruption here.
Oh, okay.
oh, thank you.
He sounds extra good.
Well, I don't know. Some people like the British accent, right? To me, it sounds normal. However, a lot of people say I sound like I'm from Australia. I'm from the UK, the United Kingdom.
Did you grow up? Did you have some Aussie friends growing up or something? Is there a little,
I don't
little
think
wear
so.
off on you?
I think maybe the people from Nottingham sound like they're from Australia.
All right. Okay.
Could be.
Australia.
Regional dialect.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say though is that I feel like where you're at now versus where you would have been. Eventually, we all have to stop competing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
And to be able to go out on your terms, and be able to kind of parlay that into something else, like what we're hearing is like this is the success story that I think every bodybuilder wants.
This,
right? You know what I mean?
There's
That's
a ton
really
of
what it
guys
comes
out there
down to.
that would, in hindsight, probably rather have this.
Yeah.
This, as a. How did your competing days end?
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I tore a hamstring or had health issues, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good message for bodybuilders who are in the even 20s.
Yeah.
Think about what's next.
Where are you going to go?
Yeah. It's massive because, I mean, I know people that were huge when I was coming up. The UKBF days, CMP days where you got Alvin Small and Cecil Crowsdale. Those people now, they just don't know where they are. You don't know what they're doing because they didn't think of what life after bodybuilding.
Right.
It's super important, and I think that's why people end up coming back into bodybuilding competitively, because I might have done it if I didn't have a reason to be okay with losing that identity.
Yeah.
That part of my identity.
Yeah.
You've almost got to create a new identity. And when you've been doing the same thing for 20 years, that's hard.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Target one thing for 20 years. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it wasn't until we talked the second time that I asked you when you were going to quit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I was back
We had
in.
a good little audience here. Stephen. That was good. Were they here for you, Jamie?
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
I
pretty
think
sure.
all five of them.
They didn't show up until Jamie came.
No.
The
They came to
Americans
see-
started talking. Walk away. Walk away.
Yeah.
You were just dropped in with the Americans, just like that.
Yeah, it's easily done.
I was stereotyped.
Guilt by association.
I know. What about your training? Like, I saw you sprinting on the bike. I see you doing some footwork. Are you doing that stuff right now? What do you do now when you go to the gym? Do you just add some stuff onto the end, or is it all different?
It's pretty different. Like I go in the gym, I've got no real plan other than because I am busy and I'm here, there, and everywhere. I find it hard to hold down a routine at the minute, which is a nightmare for any bodybuilder, right?
Right.
But it's just something that I've come to terms with because I could get 2 days' notice and they want me in Manchester or they want me in London.
Like for just a promotional appearance? Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is I'm doing an upper lower, and then I'll try and do that twice a week. So I'll train 4 times and I'll cover everything. And then as long as I'm getting my cardio in on top of that to keep the cardio fitness in there and do what I enjoy. So I love the bike.
Yeah.
Right.
Although the weather's not obviously very good in the UK at the minute.
Yeah, right now especially.
And my missus laughs her head off because she calls me a people pleaser. I can't say no. So in January, I got a friend who did a run for charity. So every day of the month, he did a kilometre for whatever day it was. So I joined him on the 26th, those 26k. But he says, you can come on your bike. I was like, oh, cool. So I'm at that stage as well where I've got clip-in pedals. I've got cycling shoes that clip into the pedals.
So the pedals themselves, they clip. It's not just like a harness on the pedal.
No, so yeah, the pedals have got, it's not a harness, the pedals have got like a groove.
Yes.
And under your shoes, you have an attachment for the groove.
Yeah.
So I have those too.
Yeah.
My next question, have you fallen yet?
Well, this is where the story's kind of going.
Jumped ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so
it's not fun.
So I've joined my mate on the canal towpath. Do you know what canal is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the canal towpath, and in my head, a canal towpath is like gravel. So I've got these thin road ties, these slicks.
Yeah.
Super slick. I've got on the canal towpath, and it's muddy as hell. Slippy. It's like an ice rink.
Right.
The worst thing is, I calls my mate. I'm like, I'm just getting on the canal towpath. Where are you? He says, I'm not far ahead. Catch me up. He's running. So I'm caning it. I'm doing some, but I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to fall off. So I'm being careful at the same time.
Right.
I'm going 5 minutes down the canal. Not found him. So I've rang him again. He's confused me. He says, I don't know how. You must have come past me. So I turn back, go the other way. And that's the annoying part of the story, because if I didn't do that, I don't think I would have fallen off. But I goes back the other way for 2 minutes. No, this isn't right. He's definitely this way. So I've pegged it again. I don't know if you say pegged it, but that was a word as well from the UK. So I've pegged it down this canal towpath, and I've just gone sideways. And I've slipped, and then I've gone head over heels.
Oh, God.
Smashed my head on the side. I don't know how I didn't end up in the water. That's the only saving grace. But to make this long story short, I've never caught up with him. I've then lost my phone, and I've got a puncture.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Which meant I had to run with the bike on my back to the gym, which was a mile away, where my missus had Find My iPhone on her phone.
Yeah.
So do you know what a Fiat 500 is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I have to proceed to drive 10 miles in a Fiat 500 in my socks to collect my phone.
Oh God.
So yeah, that's fun.
My story wasn't nearly as good when I fell. I was at a stop sign and I couldn't get my foot out in time. And it's a four-way stop.
Yeah.
And there's cars everywhere. And they watch a growing man just go like that.
It's easy done. Very easy done.
Slow motion.
Yeah.
Boom.
I never forget that day.
And anybody who doesn't know you're actually hooked in goes, why didn't he put his feet down?
Yeah.
Don't. The worst thing is when you clip your right foot out to stand on your right foot, and then you lean to the left.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I've nearly done that a few times and ended up actually ripping my foot out the pedal.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh man. What do you weigh now?
So I bounce between 280 and 285.
So you're not down a ton? Like,
No.
You're down, what, 20 pounds of actual muscle?
Yeah, so competitively I'd compete at 300. I'm 280. But yeah, in terms of muscle, if I was here 2 years ago at 345, then I'm 65 pounds down, but probably carrying a ton more body fat as well.
Right, yeah, because
Yeah.
you're blowing up off season,
Yeah. So I had this chat with a few people this weekend. I still don't feel light.
Right.
Like, you know, your hips are still aching, your lower back's still aching. I need to warm up before. You know, there's a time when you was a kid where you could just spring up and start sprinting. That's definitely not the case. So, yeah, I still don't feel light. I think another 20 pounds, I would feel a ton more agile.
Right.
But I go below 280, and my missus, it's like a beacon goes off. She's like, "What do you weigh? You look skinny." 280. She's like, "Well, don't drop any lower." Okay.
I'm thinking about your TV deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She says, "You got to be a giant, right? So you can't be any lower than 280. So that's it."
Do they ever talk to you about your body weight? Like, do they even ask you what it is? Do they?
No. Well, we have stats. So when it's aired on TV, we all have stats. So they come up like a boxing match.
Yeah.
Right.
But they just weigh you once, and that's the stat they use.
Yeah. So that's on there. The weirdest thing for me is obviously as bodybuilders, we measure everything in inches.
Right.
And the stats are in centimeters. So my bicep is measured in centimeters. My quad's measured in centimeters. And I've never known that be a thing, but I don't know if that's because I've been in bodybuilding so long. It's all I've known.
Yeah.
Right. So that was strange for me, but that's what it is.
So what do you like? 54 centimeters? I don't even know. How big's an arm?
Yeah, I can't even remember. I think it's about
50.
I've still got like a 20 and a half, 21-inch bicep. So I think it's like 52, 54.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the quads when I was bodybuilding, like all in, I think my quads are like 32-inch. And I'm sure they're like 29, so they're downsized, but they're still a decent size.
You still look really. I saw the shots of you in your outfit. With them. And you still look like real. Your legs look huge, next to those guys, right?
Yeah. So
in that crowd,
that's a message to like any, bodybuilders out there that when you stop, if you still keep on top of your nutrition, your training, and all the things that we've learned along the way, you will retain a lot of that muscle.
Oh yeah.
I think it's hard to lose weight. If
you have to make it come down.
Yeah, for sure.
So when they put your stats up, I gotta ask, is it real stats or is this okay? So this isn't like made for TV stats where they're like he's 345.
Yeah. No, it's real. It's not wrestling.
From parts unknown.
Yeah. Exactly.
The old wrestling thing. The Ultimate Warrior from parts unknown.
Right.
But the funny story to that is, so the UK tried to bring back Gladiators about 10 years ago on a different channel on Sky One.
Sean Clarita.
And that show.
You're up tomorrow, buddy.
You're on tomorrow, he says.
You're definitely up tomorrow. Okay.
That show, for whatever reason, it didn't take off, and I think that's because it was on a Thursday night at a weird time on a Sky program that didn't get the ratings. But funnily enough, so I would have been mid-20s at the time, mid to late 20s. I applied to go on that show. No, I know how old I was because it's before I properly started competing, so I was like 23, 24. And at the time, I was 15 stone. So in pounds, what's that? 210.
Oh wow,
that's quick, but it's only because it's a round number of like 15. So what is it? 140 pounds plus 7. There you go. I remember lying, saying I was 16 stone. So I would have said I was like 224, 225.
Yeah.
And I think back and thought, God, I lied to say I was 16 stone, like, and I ended up being 345. That's weird.
Do they know that you tried to get on already like 10 years ago on the Sky One?
Yeah, we discussed it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's why as well, I think in bodybuilding at the minute, we're in an age where people want things yesterday.
Yeah.
Things take time.
Yeah, trust the time.
Yeah, trust the time, trust the journey. Like everything will happen in the end. So, that's a big message.
Yeah, for sure.
What are some of the other things, like when we had Drea on earlier, we talked about, the ability to handle delayed gratification as a bodybuilder. Like you have to put work in order to get results, and it might be a long ways away.
Yeah.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned in the past year with this whole experience with the show and stuff, and interacting with the other athletes and the regular Joes and just the whole thing, and how the British, television system works, and just, I don't know, what lessons have you taken away, whether it be business or family or anything like that?
I think that one of the biggest messages is like how influential we can all be, and I actually did something this morning that kind of makes that point. So at the minute I'm getting a ton of messages.
Yeah.
From kids, from parents, and it's too many that if I was to...
Do they have an email or somewhere where that people can just reach the giant, or are they finding you and reaching out?
Yeah, I think it's, at the minute we're all navigating this thing.
Yeah.
And it's extremely busy. So they will have places to contact to try and get in contact with the giant, but ultimately they'll contact Jamie to try and contact the character.
Right.
So I got tons of messages daily, and I can't reply to them all. But I started thinking, do you know what? If I can reply to a couple a day, then that might make their day.
Absolutely.
And having the ability to do that is something that we shouldn't ever frown upon or turn away.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest thing. And that goes for us as bodybuilders, and we've all got influence. And sometimes in the past, I've looked at those messages, not now, not current, but like in my bodybuilding days when you got some kid asking for advice, and it'll be in the message request. I'm like, I'll ignore that. And I know we can't reply to everyone, but I'm going to make a conscious effort to try and do some.
Right.
I like that. Skip had put it recently. He said, there's going to come a day that nobody's going to care about me at all.
Yeah.
He is like, so I'm definitely going to get back to the people I can, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know what you mean about that request folder. You know, you go through your primary, you maybe got, like, there's days I open, I got 22 primary.
Yeah.
And then I go to the general.
Yeah.
And you got 15 more.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, what's a request like? And you're like, oh, geez, I
can't unsee that.
I can't I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to eat my breakfast, you know, and so I know what that means, but they times that by 10 with general television audience reaching out to you.
Yeah. Mental. Yeah. The good thing is about the requests, it's like read receipts on WhatsApp. If you got them turned off, you can't see if they've read it or not. However, here's a question for you. So, read receipts on WhatsApp, on or off?
Off.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I leave everything on. I want you to know I saw it and didn't answer.
Like it.
What I do all the time is I'll be like, oh, did they send just take a quick peek. Oh, he's looking really good, but I'll get back to him in a couple hours.
Yep, that's what I do
then I'll just
too.
mark it unread, but I don't want him to think like, Ron didn't get back to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just mark it unread, and I go back after I'm done my meal or whatever and like give a good answer. Because, you know, there's those little short answers you can fire off, and then there's one where you're like, oh, this requires me to think and use both hands. And so I'm like, I don't want that guy to see that I read it and then maybe feel bad for like 5 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
You know,
I do the exact same thing.
Whereas like I understand Dusty's personality is the insult is part of the Dusty experience. So if you're gonna, it's part of knowing Dusty is that hurt feeling you have to go through.
Yeah.
It's like a gateway to really get to know him. You know?
If you can't have fun with your friends, who can you have fun with?
Yeah. They're like, I'm a stranger and you ignored me.
Dusty, do you have I think you had a closing question. You had
Dusty's got some good ones.
I've got some rapid fires for you.
Yes.
Let's go.
We're going to rapid fire real quick here. And remember, no deep thinking. Keep it in the shallow end of the pool.
Okay.
Need like a 3-second minimum.
Right.
Maximum.
All right,
3
here we
second
go.
maximum.
What is an item that you think is worth spending extra money on? So it could be fancy shoes,
Good toilet
purse,
paper,
car.
good broccoli.
What the one thing you're like, more money is fine?
Comfortable pants, but not pants, like underwear.
Oh, all right.
You get those that like kind of itch the crotch, or
Do you use the separator one with the package? Never mind.
I love like the sacks. Those are great.
Oh, I love those. Those are for me.
Yeah.
All right. What's the one thing that you regret spending money on that you spent before?
Oh, okay. Right, I got a good one here. So when we moved into our first house, we got some china plates.
No.
Nice china.
We got some nice
never
china.
gets
The adult
used,
thing to
Jamie.
These plates are like,
Very grown up.
Yeah.
for 4 plates, it was £400.
Oh God.
And then I had to buy the bowls as well, and they were like another £400.
And then you need the little fork and the big fork that match the china.
And you never use those.
No. Well, we do, and the worst thing is they haven't been in the dishwasher and they faded a bit as well.
Oh God.
And the even worse thing is, I bought a set from like Next, which is a home store in the UK. I bought a set, white and gold, and these nice ones are white and gold. This set was like 40 quid, and they're just as nice.
There you go.
Never fails.
Yeah.
Never fails. All right. Finish this phrase. The way to my heart is...
Food.
That is not the one you were going to say. That is not the one you were going to say.
So we know the second fastest way to Jamie's heart is food. Thank you, Jamie.
There you go.
All right, couple more. Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
The future.
All right, what are we doing while we're there?
You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Oh my God.
Not to answer the question.
We're
You're only going to be there for 10 minutes.
I'm going to check the bank balance. I'm going to see where I live. Check the wife's rack.
Make sure it's still heading north.
See if we need an upgrade.
Like, how far in the future are we?
Speaking of that, what was your last impulse buy?
Impulse buy. It was a chair. A chair that told me that it was going to be great for my back.
Yes.
And it was a backless chair that you kind of like kneel into like a seesaw. And it was terrible.
That sounds terrible.
They lied
That
to
sounds
you.
like you fell for a lie. Is what that sounds like.
Basically.
That was a yard sale, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a terrible idea.
That was just a broken chair, Jamie.
It's called a stool. That's what it's called, a stool.
the price of good advertising.
All right, last but not least, what holiday activity do you think is overrated?
So in the UK, we have Boxing Day.
Yes.
Boxing Day, the day after Christmas Day. And on Boxing Day, you normally
We got that too.
go around the family's house and have dinner around the family.
It's the family that you don't like enough to do Christmas with, but you're obligated to go see. Yeah.
So, exactly my thoughts.
I wasn't going to drive to your house yesterday, but today I had to come.
No more excuses.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't close out better than that between his impulse buy, boobs, and not liking his extended family.
I
We're
do
done.
feel that he lied on some of his answers.
He did.
I think so,
Definitely
too.
was not
It's very-
truthful.
He goes,
But we know
I
that
saw BBC ring across the screen, and he goes, food.
Yeah. Think about your audience. Think about
Bodybuilder
8-year-old kids.
Jamie would have read that differently.
his corporate overlords are watching him. Yeah.
I got to turn the dial. Like, ooh, there we go.
There we go. Okay, that's good. That's awesome. It's good to have you on again, man.
No, it's a
sir.
pleasure. It's great to be on a podcast again. I've not done one for a long time.
You know what else about you, Jamie? I think we all feel the same. You're one of the guys where, like, when's the last time we actually spoke?
It's
Like, we had a couple messages. Hey, you doing? Over a year.
Yeah, over a year.
Yeah, but it just feels like I just saw you at the last expo.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and it's your recent extraordinary fame has not changed you, sir.
No, and I do feel as though, I haven't changed, and I don't foresee me changing. And when people say, "Oh, don't let it change you," I just think there's a type of person that it changes.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm that type of person.
No.
So, I have one more question.
Yeah.
We forgot the real question.
Oh, we're
What's
going.
that?
Do they send you a weekly check, or do you get paid once for the season?
Well, I don't know whether I can answer.
Okay.
It's split into parts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's split into parts.
So you get paid to do the show, and then there's residuals or something like that. I don't know how it works. I don't know. I don't know the right words.
So we get a fee for doing the show,
Yeah.
and then there might be fees for promo work and
Or extra appearances.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I get
Things
it.
like that.
Yeah.
And then, so is season 2 an option for them on the contract, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we're contracted to. At the minute, the green light was for one season, but we are like written down for other seasons,
Right.
given the BBC's authorization. So
Right.
we're just all on that.
Let's keep that rolling.
Yeah, we're in that situation again where it's looking good, but it's not 100%.
Yeah.
They love this game with you.
Yeah, they love that line, don't they?
They do,
They
don't
love
they?
that line. Okay, that's awesome, man. Well, we all wish you the most success.
Yeah, thank you.
We get excited when we see like one of us, well, any of us, doing well past competing, because like you said, competing takes a lot out of people, takes a lot out of your life, and if you do it the right way, it can lead you in an incredible direction where you can do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it can, and I thank bodybuilding to this day for everything it's taught me. All the willpower, dedication, resilience, mentality is something that I think everybody can learn something from.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still have a tiny bladder, by the way.
We'll wrap this up. The Giant on the show. Good to have you, Jamie.
Yeah, pleasure, guys.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
very much.
Remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Get your ISO surge. Get your all in. And everyone should get on the gear. Dusty20, Big Ron 20. Jamie's got a code too.
TMG20.
There you go.
There you go.
And Think Big Patreon. Keep the producer home.
Thank you, guys.
Hit the Patreon up. Throw like $5 a month. You won't even notice it. You'll see the show quality rise all of a sudden.
And you get content
and
quicker. You get early release.
And you get and you get preferential question taking and answering.
Yes.
Valid.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment.
And ring the bell.
There you go. Thanks, everybody. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.
Nice.